If you don't know the parallette tips I'm going to tell you in this video, you might be inspecting your parallettes or the parallettes you gift to someone and realize you made a big mistake. There's something wrong with these parallettes that you could have avoided if you knew these tips. Let's go over it.
The coating of your parallette is more important than the material. This took me way too long to figure out, and after years and years of using different parallettes, I've now realized this, is that the coating is so important compared to the material. Here I have a full metal parallette, I have the mixed wooden and metal, and then I have the fully wooden. All of these have different coatings though. This one is sort of polished. With the wooden ones, you can get them unpolished and you can get them with a little bit of finish on them, okay? I recommend getting one that has a little bit of finish on it, but not too much. You don't want it to be too slippery for the chalk to not hold, so you have to keep re-chalking, okay? This one is a good in-between. I have had one that was unchalked. Some people might prefer that, is the bare wood feel. Okay, kind of like rings. Some rings can be a little bit less unpolished, especially if they're older, like this one. This parallette was polished, but now I've had it again since day one, is what I started planching on. It's less polished, so the grip is actually insane, but again, the longevity is less there. If this was to really get wet, if I didn't, keep this in good condition, it probably wouldn't last long. And lastly, with the metal parallettes, these come coated. Try not to go for the black, deep, shiny ones. You can see this one isn't shiny. It's actually matte. It's coated really well. The grip stays on it. I actually wiped this down and the grip is still stayed. So this one, you only need to chalk up a couple times and the grip stays. Don't go for the ones that are super shiny. You have to really chalk those up and they're not the best grip. And in the long run, you want one with good grip so you can do the skills the best you can. So like I said, the coating is more important than the material because all of these different types of wooden, metal, they can be slippery if they're not coated well, or there's too much coating on them, and you might prefer the raw feeling of grip, or you might prefer a little bit of coating. So the first skill you wouldn't have realized is actually easier on some of these bars is the planche. So the planche is actually easier on these off the ground bars, okay? So why is that? Well, the planche, when you're first learning your tuck planche and just getting used to it, you're able to hold longer because your hips can drop and you still won't touch the floor. So you get more hold time. So even if it's not perfect form, you get to hold longer compared to a shorter, maybe 2-second hold where you just quickly touch the ground. You'd be able to hold maybe much longer towards 5-6 seconds in comparison. You're gonna get stronger, faster, because your body has more time to adapt and get used to the position because of all that time and attention that you're building up. So that's a great one. If you're wanting to learn the planche and something like that, and that's why you're getting parallette, maybe think about this, but also you think about those other skills you're learning. However, I will say dip bars will make it harder because they're so high, the entry is a lot harder into planche. A lot of you guys will also be working on the handstand push-up and might actually be getting quite strong in it. Around when you get 5-6 reps, I would start working on deep handstand push-ups. Of course, you can do them on these, or you can put these on a box. But one thing you can really do is with these curved edge off the ground parallette, you can do really deep handstand push-ups holding on the curve, which helps your wrist. When you're going to that deep handstand push-up, that type of bar is actually gonna really help you out. So either doing it on a dip bar, if you're able to do the handstand into the dip bar, or on these bars, I would really recommend doing it near the edge so your wrist is in a really comfortable position to go deep into your handstand push-ups if you're feeling that confident and that strong in your handstand push-ups to go for that deep handstand push-up. Also, a bonus for those of you that advance, the Maltese and the Dragon planche are actually gonna be easier on these higher bars. Because you're off the ground a bit more, it makes entry a little bit more comfortable, a little bit easier than being very close to the ground with your face, basically sniffing the floor, okay? So I would recommend these higher ones. They're more stable and they're close off the ground, so the entry you can really perfect. Let's move on to the next mistake that you don't want to make. To be honest, none of my parallettes have this issue, but I know a lot of people that do. And that issue is the wooden part where you grip turning. Like I said, none of my parallettes actually have this issue, so I can't actually show you, but after some period of time with some types of parallettes, the wooden part starts turning, okay? So whenever you grip, it's moving side to side, it's spinning, and that can actually ruin and destroy your parallettes to the point where either you have to fix it yourself or you have to buy new ones. You can see this wooden one, there's no screws, it's just within this little socket, it's probably glued in a little bit there. I've seen some wooden ones from other brands that they start spinning, okay? Then there's also this wooden one, that's also a mix of metal as well, that's screwed in on the side, okay? I have also seen that for some styles like this, that the wood starts spinning and moving side to side when you grip it, okay? You also have this metal one, but you can see this metal is a full piece drilled into the base here, so it's impossible for this issue to actually happen with this parallette. So what I'd recommend is if you do go for either of these, make sure it's a brand you trust, try it out, maybe use someone or ask someone that has that brand and, you know, see, does it have that issue? Grip it tight, try and move it, apply a little bit of force because it's, you know, usually you have your full body weight on these parallettes, so don't just give it a slight nudge, really try and push it, see if it's happening with their parallettes. Try a few other people, see which one you like. But if you're really worried about this, you want to make sure it doesn't happen, go for this style where it's just one full solid piece into the base. That's what I'd recommend. You'll never have that issue, it'll last forever. With these ones, maybe if I abused them, it would happen, but even this one, man, I've had since day one in my calisthenics journey, and I used it a lot. This is the one I started learning planche on. I never had the issue. This one I now use for my home workouts. Never had this issue, and obviously this one I use at the gym, and it's never gonna have that issue. So I'm happy with all of these. That's what I recommend, and you don't wanna make that mistake, but there's some more things you need to know. So let's move on to those now. I hate the tiny parallettes. Regardless, whoever they're from, I hate those tiny parallettes. These ones, I don't think they're really good for anyone. If you're a beginner, I would suggest getting at least these medium ones, which I love. I'd recommend getting these much more over these, just because, just like the pull-up bar, it's got a wider base. So you're gonna be able to lean, do your push-ups, do stuff explosively without worrying about it. Because the main thing I want you to think about is the stability. So that's the weight and that's the length, okay? So the length obviously is gonna be more stable. This one is compact enough, you can bring it with you to the gym or train at home with it and it doesn't take up too much space. So I love this one. But then also with the heavier metal bars that you saw earlier, those are heavier. So you can do things like L-sit to handstand and really chuck it, do it with momentum. There's a lot of exercises and drills that require momentum and that this is gonna be actually dangerous for. I actually don't like using this because it's dangerous. If I do a planche push-up, I do them quite explosive, this is going to shift every rep, okay? And then maybe I'm not in position, maybe I, tear something, touch wood, I don't, but that's the issue with those. So I really recommend thinking about, okay, the weight of it, do you need it to travel? Are you training at home? So if you're traveling, you want it lighter, then you go for a wider one that will still fit in your bag. If you're not traveling, go for a heavier one, okay? So that's what I recommend. Really think about, okay, what skills am I learning? Or if I'm buying this for someone, what skills are they looking to learn? Okay, and how stable does it need to be? Because I don't think this is really good for anything besides maybe taking it on a plane to another country. That's like pretty much it. I'd much rather get these. Looking for your next set of parallettes and want to avoid the mistakes I talked about in this video, then check out Gornation. These are the parallettes I recommend buying. I don't get any of the issues I talk about in this video with these parallettes, so I do recommend them, and I did use them before I ever started working with them. So I used my Gornation parallettes from day one. Also, the Black Friday sale is coming up, so check the Gornation out for that. And, of course, use the code JACK10 to get minus 10% off. You can also use that for their fitness gear. This base layer as well that I've been wearing in the second half of this video, I love, and it's good for the winter months, so check them out for also your sports and fitness active wear. I still have more tips for different equipment and different parallettes, so if you want me to talk about that, let me know down in the comments below. I also made some other parallette buying guides that you can look at. So if you're looking to buy a new set of parallettes, you want it to go deeper into the, the style, the different types, the metal versus wooden. I made these a little while ago. They're still very helpful, so you can check those out as well.